here, there were 4 different. You had the northern, western, eastern. I'm not sure was there. I don't think there was a southern rail. Maybe there was. Yeah, I have a feeling there were 4 different railway companies running the operation, and then they all merged into what became Chorus and Pereira in the 1920s, after the foundation of the state.
That is quite a nice view.
Yeah, oh yeah, excellent view. And poultry is a big part of the farming operation here. You see all those sheds down there? That's for growing chicken. Obviously it's a transport company, but a lot of chicken, you can see those large chicken sheds way into the distance and quite near as well. And the mill that supplies the feed is in that direction. Can be seen as well in the height. Are you okay to get round?
Oh yeah.
And come from tighter.
I definitely have, and I fruit camp and my tent and everything, so that gets you go to weird spots.
Did you manage to get yourself the hot water working from the shower and that?
No, I didn't.
It should.
Like I did the pulley thing and the light turned on, and
I'll try it when I go.
Alright,
go
sounds
back.
good.
There is a. I just need the bathroom might be very clean in the other room. We'll get that sorted this evening.
Sounds good.
I do know that Gillum, he stayed in the house. He never said it didn't work anyway, so I presume it's...
Oh, okay. It's just me not knowing how showers work. They work differently in Europe than they do in North. Takes some getting used to.
Than they do in the States.
Yeah.
And Canada.
Yeah.
Now, let me see which is the best way down. We'll go down. No, I'll go up. Internal. No, this is a better way. Was the bed okay? Was it comfortable?
Oh yeah,
enough?
it was comfortable. Very comfortable.
That's all that matters.
I agree. At the end of the day, I do like sleeping outside in my tent, but it is nice to sleep inside a temperature-controlled place in an actual bed.
Yeah, you need to do that occasionally.
Yeah.
And when you leave from Holyhead, from Rosslare, have you decided what route you're taking?
To Rosslare?
Off to Rosslare, obviously you're going to go through the south of the country, you're not going to go up to Clonmacnoise then, where I suggested, because that's in the middle of the country.
Ooh. I do not know yet, yeah.
You came to the Cliffs of Moher, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I did, yeah.
And you saw all the west coast of Clare. Did you go down into Kilkee?
I did, yes.
Oh yeah, Kilkee's lovely.
Kilkee had a special memory for me, because when I came to Ireland the first time, I immediately hitchhiked across to Galway, and then immediately, I didn't stay in Galway, I just continued south, and I had my first pint of Guinness in Kilkee, and then had a nice time, met a lot of people there, and was offered a place to stay there, so I went back to the bar. I had my first Guinness, the Greyhound.
Yeah. And did you get accommodation there? Okay.
I camped near the Kilkee Cliffs.
Oh, lovely.
Which was nice for me.
And where did you spend Christmas night and Christmas Day?
I was in Donegal town for Christmas Eve at night, and then till Christmas, and I hitchhiked on Christmas down to, there's a town just like 30 minutes north of Galway, I forget what it's called though. Chew? Maybe.
Headford, was it on the motorway or was it on?
Yeah, it was. There was a motorway junction at the roundabout in town there.
Clare Galway? Gort? Chew? Gort is south?
It might be Tune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you stayed there, and were you able to, you had to camp on Christmas night, you wouldn't have found accommodation?
Yeah, I camped. But there was a restaurant open for Christmas dinner, and so I actually got a proper
lovely. And where in that particular town?
Yeah, in that town. Like, I got dropped off at my last spot for the day, and it just so happened the only thing I ever saw open that day was this one restaurant.
Weren't you lucky to fall on it?
Yeah, because I didn't, I went through Sligo that day, and I didn't see, there's nothing. Everything was closed.
Every place closes here on Christmas Eve at 6 or 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
In fact, Tesco here in Newcastle West were selling off prawns or free-range turkey.
Yeah.
Which had been €50 per bird at till 50.
Oh wow.
Because obviously they had surplus to requirement.
Mm-hmm. On Christmas Eve they were?
They were on Christmas Eve. Nice country road here. This is known as Crane.
Crane?
Yeah, you're only within a couple of miles of Newcastle West, but you're in the parish of Monaghay.
Okay.
We're a bit like the Channel Islands here. We have parishes everywhere you go, and there's usually good community spirit in each parish.
For a country road, this isn't that narrow. They get a whole lot more narrow than this.
Oh, they tend to do.
Yeah.
And was it a restaurant or a hotel or where that you found open on Christmas Day?
I think it was a restaurant. It could have also had a hotel attached to it.
Oh, very nice.
But it was just right next to the
motorway.
The roundabout junction to the motorway, yeah.
It could be Clare Galway.
Could have been
Clare Galway. Was it a grey type of stone building there?
I think so. It's like, or off-white or something.
That's interesting.
But
and was the meal okay?
Oh, well, it's overpriced. I think it's the €35 for it was a 3-course, so it came with dessert, but it wasn't spectacular in any way, shape, or form. But I hadn't really eaten anything decent that day, so to me it was
Christmas. You needed to treat
yourself. Yeah. So I was okay with spending that much. It was alright. But I caught 5 rides that day.
Pardon?
I caught 5 lifts that day on Christmas Day.
Imagine that, yeah. Everybody stopped. They were all...
Yeah, I got rides quickly. There was definitely less traffic on the road.
Oh, very little traffic.
But I guess people that saw you hitchhiking on Christmas Day, there was some empathy there or something.
Oh, there would be.
Yeah.
So they took you you got from Donegal town all the way to Galway or near Galway?
Yeah, to Tom.
And you went through Sligo?
Yeah, on the way, yeah.
So you must have started quite early in the day, did you?
Yeah, it was definitely in the morning. don't recall which time, but it was in the morning. The weather's good that day. The first guy that gave me a lift, was him and his son, and he offered me a 6-pack of beer.
Oh, very nice.
I only took 2 though. So
that was very nice of him.
People were very generous that day.
And were they fascinated at the program making that we were? You obviously had that gadget with you on Christmas Eve.
Of course, yeah, every day, all day.
Your pet gorilla.
Yes, my pet gorilla. We can call it that now. Yeah, I stream it every day, and when someone pulls over, some people see the camera, some people don't. But when I approach a car, I first figure out where they're going, make sure we're going the right direction, and then I tell them I'm making a live video documentary on hitchhiking, and say they don't have to be on camera, but I always have the camera rolling so I can have it out the front window, but don't have it on me, have it out the front window. So there's varying levels of people being comfortable with the camera. If I asked this, have you picked up a hitchhiker anytime recently?
No, there are very few people hitch around here anymore. I have. I can't recall picking up one last year. I picked up a Latvian guy, maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He was hitchhiking into Limerick from Newcastle West.
Okay.
We do have difficulty with people that hitch because of the traffic.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't stop because there's a car following on behind. So when you might like to pick somebody up, it's actually dangerous to stop.
Yeah, no, definitely. That is.
You've probably witnessed that yourself.
I have, and in lots of places in Europe, like roads like this.
Now you see the castle just in front of you?
Oh yeah.
Glenquin Castle. Now I hope it's open today. It should be. And we can climb the stairs into the top of that.
Very cool.
Not sure where the best place to leave the car is. I'd say the other side of the bridge. Traffic is coming down this way, so nobody's going to. I'll let you room to get out. Alright. I'll reverse back actually before you get out. People coming behind can see me anyhow.
That's pretty substantial. That's a defendable position. Closed for the winter.
Yeah. Quite interesting to. There's a banqueting hall up at one point.
Oh yeah.
And then you have steps that go right. You can go right up through the. You see where the twig is on the side up above?
Yeah.
Just up there.
You can go up there.
Yeah. Go to the map. there?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And the floor in the area, there was a big fireplace over in the corner.
Wow, look, you can see.
Hello?
Echo.
There was a gathering here. My grandmother was able to tell me about it. 2 years ago, we had the centenary of the Easter Rising.
Yeah.
When the locals rose up against the British occupants at the time. And the West Limerick North Cork Volunteer Group, which were the equivalent of the IRA in those days, had Irish Republican Army, had organised to gather here to support the rising, which took place in Dublin on the day. But there was confusion in terms of the rising. Some people seem to think, well, it was called off. But they gathered here, they marched from 20 miles away, and this was the assembly point at the castle. And that plaque commemorates the assembly across the native shade jug. But this interesting story that she had to tell, and I asked this at dinner in my parents' kitchen on Easter Sunday 1966, which was 50 years past the rising. And I asked her could she recall what she did on that day, or what did she know about the rising? And her elder sister was married in the farmhouse up here, and she had young children, not many, but she had a large family subsequently. And she used to go to her sister's house on Sunday, and somebody came in and said, there's a bunch of men have arrived at the castle. And she obviously came down out of curiosity to see what was going on. And a few days passed, we had insurrection in Dublin, and some of the leaders of the movement were, 8 were hung by the British within about 3 weeks. But within a few days, and communication was very slow then, within a few days, I think she said it was probably the following Thursday, her father had died, so her mother was the head of the house, and they lived on the hill over that side. And her younger brother was only 15, and he'd been here with his elder brother, who was involved had an interest in the rising. But when her mother found out that the younger fellow of 15 had been here over their midday meal, she said to him from the top of the table, Jack, you need to be reprimanded. I have it from authority that you were at the castle on Sunday. You didn't have my permission. You should not have been there. And then he said, oh, but Margaret was there too. She was 28 or that way at the time. So he landed her in trouble with her mother. But the interesting thing about it, rural and urban here had two different stances on the need for a rising. And her mother had come from the town of Newcastle West, Maiden Street, which you were in last night in the Central Bar. And her brother had a business on the street. And the old lady's thinking was, my brother's business will be burnt out if you're seen anywhere like that again. And she went on to point out, when they were asked why, that most of the people in Maiden Street were dependent on income from the British Army, because they had no option, they had nothing else to do other than join the army, to sustain them. And obviously, if that dried up, there'd be a problem. But it did within a few years.
And the businesses held on, or was there a recession?
The business lasted. That particular business lasted until 1996, when the last of that old lady's nieces died. She had been born in 1900, the eldest one was born in 1901. So that's an interesting story with regard to the castle. Just a
no, that is interesting. A personal story related to it.
Directly from a family member.
Right. Find an example of late 16th century tower house. Fortified home of a late medieval landowner. Isn't do they spend a lot to upkeep this? It's in remarkable shape.
The Office of Public Works. That is in extremely good condition.
It is. A lot of castles stuff from that era are ruins now.
I'll see. Will I see if I can get the key?
No, it's okay.
Are you sure?
I'm okay. Yeah, it's all good.
Because I can try. There's a number there which I could phone if you're interested in going up there.
It's all good.
Okay, that's fine.
cool though.
This regional road would take you to Charleville and into Tipperary town.
Okay.
Which and Tipperary town is on the route to Rosslare. But if needs be, I can take you to Limerick tomorrow when I'll be going into.
Oh, you'll be going to Limerick tomorrow. Okay.
If you wish, you decide what you want to do.
All right. Well, thank you.
That is where my mother originated from. That farm in there.
Okay.
Just in there in the trees.
The original farmhouse still there?
Yeah, and I used to spend as a child. My grandmother, that lady I was talking about, lived there, but she didn't get married until about 19, I think.
Okay.
So that was a few years after the rising. But her sister had been married probably about 1913. That well, you see that spout for water?
Mm-hmm.
That's where we used to come to get the water supply.
So you have to walk to get.
And this was in the late 1950s. I mean, you weren't born probably until 1994, was it?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah. So when will you be 25?
Come this June.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. Which, I guess that's the last birthday that means something. I can rent a car now.
Oh, you can't rent a car yet until you're 25. You see the miscanthus, that stuff, but it hasn't been a very successful product or a very successful crop because it doesn't dry out adequately in the damp climate.
Oh, I see. So
It's severe. I suppose it helps it break up or something,
mm-hmm.
but then it needs to be very dry, and the difficulty is to get it dry enough.
I haven't had many frosts this year, have you guys?
Little or none.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 nights where one had to scrape ice from the car. I think 2 mornings that I can recall. That was it. It was slightly frosty earlier last night when we came out of the house to go back to the Devon Inn.
Mm-hmm. Are wind turbines a controversial issue in the area as well?
They tend to be.
Yeah.
They tend to be. But from a sustainability point of view, I think it's very good to have energy harnessed from wind.
Yeah. No, I agree. Last time I was in Europe, it was a very hot topic, and lots of people that were local to the areas wherever I was, and that's just all around Europe. If they saw a wind turbine, then they'd either tell me how much they loved them or how much they hated them.
I'm going up the wrong road. I think I need to go up the next one before we come down again.
Sure.
I know it well, but I'm just... This was where, I'll bring you up here anyway, where my grandmother came from. And the incident at the dinner table. The house is taken down now, but it was down underneath here. We'll just go to the track that enters the place. We have quite a big land holding here. But some of it is planted now and it's divided up. Other people, other families who've been in the locality for a long time have purchased it.
It's quite the hill here as well.
Very hilly. That house up there is a first cousin of mine. His daughter lives there.
If turbines are on like someone's property, like those ones,
Pardon?
like these turbines, are they on their property? Do they have to like
the Shanahan family
lease land?
Have the turbines. The Shanahan family. That was where she came from now. The entrance is up here.
Oh, okay.
And those turbines we had fun. We could drive in. You've seen the work, the basis of the Mini.
Yeah.
The entrance down there.
Oh, okay.
Quite interesting. We have a good view of the countryside down.
Yeah, from here it's a great viewpoint.
The old most of her daughters were 9 families, and a lot of them went to London. But the eldest daughter was visiting with her son, who was probably about 11 or 12, probably back in the 20s. And they had a Sunday afternoon gathering at the house, when a lot of the family would have been home on holiday and whatever. And when people were leaving, they remarked on the wonderful view of the countryside. That it was marvellous, the view they had from their house. And the young fellow piped up. Times in the 20s and 30s in Ireland were very difficult in terms of sustaining family and that. And the young fellow, who had obviously had everything he needed in Dublin, piped up and he said to somebody that said about the wonderful view, but that's all they have here, the view. Which was quite probably cheeky in some ways.
Yeah.
Which was very apt, because that he was telling it as it was. They had a wonderful view, but not a lot of material things. Next one up now is the last rock.
Has this area always struggled, like, economically?
I know it has been quite vibrant from the war. You see, Ireland did well every time there was a war. World War One, and again in World War Two.
Yeah.
The 30s were pretty difficult in between.
30s were difficult for most places, yeah.
But World War One in particular, there was a need for horses, so they did well farming people who were able to sell a horse, or they obviously the market for horses went way up. Pork and all of that, so was needed
from these wars, so they had
World War One. We were part of the realm, and conscription didn't come in, but there was a move afoot to introduce conscription about 1916, 1917 from the communities around here. With the threat of conscription, they had been informed that when it were introduced, the household would have to prove that they had a need for one son to remain because of farming activity or whatever, to avoid conscription.
Yeah.
So that was usually the eldest. But what happened then was all the others went to America to avoid it, because it was 1917 before the Americans entered the war. So they had gone to America, and I'm aware of, apart from them joining in the war.
like during either of those, was there any military operations actually played out in Ireland, like airstrikes or anything like that?
My grandmother's sister used to tell us about the airstrike on Rings. It wasn't quite Rings End. It was just south of the Liffey, in the eastern side of the city of Dublin. We'll come out here, and what happened there? Fairview was the area that got bombed. The Germans mistook it for Belfast, from what I can gather.
Okay.
I think there were 5 or 6 people killed in the bombings. Could have been in 41 or 42. I'd need to check it, but and Joan used to talk about it and how terrifying it was when it happened. Like they were under the table, she told me, in their house because of over the countryside. There's Knockfearna, you can see the mast on it.
Yep.
There in the distance. October 79. Hope John Paul came to Ireland. Needless to say, he didn't come here, but he came to Limerick. And all the trees that were there have been felled in the last few years. You can see the evidence of afforestation. I actually recall as a child, when the hillside was being planted, being in that house that I referred to, where my mother was raised, and the men when they'd come for their meal at midday, and our grandmother discussing how long it would take for the trees to grow. None of those people would have seen them harvested, but telling me that I would, and there'd be lots of work when the time came. But there wasn't, because they were all done
with machines.
Machines. All the planting was done by hand in 1957 or 8. How are you, folks?
Happy New Year.
Many happy returns.
How are you?
Very well. This man is actually, he has a very interesting project, and you'd be interested in it. Tell them about it.
So I make a live video documentary on hitchhiking to show people what hitchhiking's like in 2018, now 2019. And I'm from Canada. Sorry?
You're from Canada?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you've come to the cream of it here.
The right place.
You've come to the right place. It's beautiful.
Well, I told him
absolutely is.
Quinn Castle here in the tunnel in Barna.
Yes.
All of my input into it.
And you know what? If you had a few hours some day to take a walk, if you park in the village,
Yep.
in front of the church, and walk over the road, you'll see a grotto to Our Lady on the side of the road. Go in behind, walk. It's a passage the whole way.
The Cops Road.
The Cobbs Road.
Yeah. We've just done that now.
We've just done, and it
You
brings
did a
you,
fine long walk.
We have, yeah.
brings you right up, and it brings you out up here on the road, and you come back down. It is just, and the
Fabulous.
peace and the quiet and the
Yeah.
birds. It's just beautiful. It's a different world. What part of Canada are you from?
From the west coast near Vancouver.
He's from the island, actually.
Right, okay.
So you're enjoying your stay here?
I am, yeah. I've been in Ireland just over 2 weeks. Took a ferry from Scotland to Belfast and then Northern Ireland and west coast down.
Okay. Just got fine equipment on you.
And on Christmas Day, hitched from Donegal town to Galway. Can you imagine that on Christmas
Christmas
Day?
Day.
You'd say you'd have the hope of getting a lift.
Stay. And you got lifts?
I got 5 lifts.
No way.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Jesus.
well, fair play
I
to
think there
you.
was nobody else.
If it were me, I wouldn't have gone outside the door.
No. You wouldn't teach them Fiona's of Broadford.
And he had Christmas dinner in one particular town. You can't tell me which one you can't remember. We think it's either Tuam or Clare
I think it's
Galway.
2.
Right,
You
okay.
got Christmas dinner.
They were serving Christmas dinner in some
Yeah, we
particular
were.
restaurant.
Just it's the first place I saw open that day. Everything else was closed, but I got my last ride of the day. The sun had set. It was dark. I was done for the day, and they're like pulled into a restaurant parking lot. And they're like, "Oh, it's open."
Yeah.
My
Very
God,
Christmas
it
dinner.
lands in your lap.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, you've reached this is a lovely side of the country.
Superb.
It is, yeah. Fantastic.
It's really lovely.
And everything is really, I mean, this time of the year, it's unusually green, like, you know, so mild.
Yeah.
It is,
Yeah, you wouldn't get that kind of colour, rich colour.
In Barna, the firs were in flower
My goodness.
down the side of the walk. I
Yeah.
couldn't get over it.
It's unbelievable,
Yeah, seasons are
isn't
They're
it?
changing.
about 5 weeks earlier than normal.
Yeah.
You get them in February.
Yeah.
But even the
daffodils.
birds.
They're singing all winter.
I was on night duty during the week, and there was one night, either Wednesday night or Thursday night, and they never stopped singing all night. And I said they actually never went to sleep at all. But it was such a lovely, mild night.
Yeah.
It's mad, isn't it?
It's very unusual. We
It's
won't complain.
very
No,
unusual.
Jesus, no.
Yeah,
We'll
it's
leave you at it.
lovely.
Keep
Enjoy
up the
your
walking.
trip.
We will,
Yeah,
yes.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, enjoy it.
27 countries Trevor has hitched through so far.
Jesus, very good.
And how many followers have you now on your...
32,000.
Oh my God.
I followed the
Are
trip
you
around.
on an Instagram page or something? Or?
Yeah, actually, you can follow it at Hitch_live on Instagram if you want to.
Okay.
Hitch_live.
Okay.
Hitchhiking live.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say to our daughters are on Instagram. I'm
Take
not
the
now.
interest
in
that,
So
yeah.
they would be, yeah.
And have you got reception here?
Yeah, enough to run a very low resolution
My
thing going
God,
on.
it's
Yeah.
mad.
Technology.
But the best of luck,
Jerome.
Well, thanks for the
technology.
comments.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Your
it.
job. Take care. Happy New Year, Jay.
Safe walking.
Bye.
And happy returns.
I don't have any business cards on me, otherwise I'd give it to them.
No, interesting meeting you.
Uneven steps.
Now that's Mass is said here every. Is there still reception?
Yeah,
Just
right
about
now.
it.
Yeah.
Mass is said here once a year.
Okay.
By the local parish priest, Father Keating,
Mhm.
and you get a lot of people that come back into the parish from who live outside of it
Yeah.
for the event. It's usually in late July, early August,
Okay.
and
That's
it's to
interesting.
commemorate the people that came to the hillside in the up to the 1830s for Mass to be celebrated here. There's another Mass rock about 7 miles from here, Clashanafron. Afron is the Irish for Mass. Clash is rock or exposed
Okay.
area.
Yeah.
You have a nice view of the countryside down here.
Do. And how long have they been doing this annual? Like when was this put in? Started doing
the
the-
annual Mass.
Yeah.
The annual Mass has gone on, I'd say, for since the 60s. I know Clashanafron you celebrated in the late 60s, but they've stopped. It's discontinued there.
Mhm.
But here, it's an annual event.
That's cool.
And you can see that
Good
high
camp
hill
right
in the
here.
distance. That's the mill, which helps supply the feed for the poultry and cattle
Okay.
in the area. Now you can see the chalice with the host on it there, signifying the Blessed Sacrament.
Sacred to the memory of those priests and people who at the risk of their lives offered holy mass here. What does it mean that at the risk of their life they offered holy mass here?
Because the people in occupation would have shot them. You were not meant to practice Catholicism.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
That clarifies.
Yeah, so it was risk to their lives.
Yeah.
But because of these locations, it was very hard for the authorities to find people celebrating Mass.
Yeah.
Local knowledge knew the times of the Masses or when they were likely to have Mass and people gathered.
Mm-hmm.
But the, how shall I say, the enforcement of the law, because it was against the law, the enforcement of the law wasn't adequate to stop it, prevent the Mass.
Okay.
And there was a famous Irish patriot, Daniel O'Connell,
Mm-hmm.
who died in Genoa I think in 1847 or 1848, and he was the proponent of Catholic emancipation. So he got the freedom for the Catholics back at that point. Through Parliament, he was elected to Parliament for Clare in 1832, I think, or around then.
Okay.
But emancipation commenced about 1829.
Okay. Ah, it's good for you. Awkward steps.
Somebody's hand.
Oh yeah. So the trees were purposely planted with the intent of logging them once they were mature?
And those have been taken down.
Did they replant them again?
Have they? I don't see any
Yeah, I'm not seeing saplings.
replacements gone in, but they will, I would expect, at some point. We're very lucky with the weather.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I woke up and the sun was shining. I'm like, oh, not a bad day.
Oh yeah. I'll turn when I get out here a little bit.
Alright.
Well, was that worthwhile or a waste of time?
No, that was definitely worthwhile.
Good.
That was very interesting for me. And these are places I would never see or find if I was traveling under my own
Yeah.
kind of just planned trip. So you get to get some history that I would have never known about.
Catholic emancipation. You probably did. Catholics were persecuted. We'll turn now and go back down again.
Sure.
over to Knockfearna.
Extremely built up place.
But Victoria wouldn't be that built up, is it?
It's a city. It's a few 100,000 people.
And Trevor, do you live with family in Victoria?
Well, I'm actually 3 hours north of Victoria, from a place called the Comox Valley, and it's fairly small.
And you live there on your own, do you?
Well, now I don't have my own place as I travel full time, so I don't pay for accommodation that I don't use.
Yes, exactly.
Before, when I was traveling on and off, I'd go back home, rent a place for a while, get a job, save up money, quit my job, leave that place, and then go travel for X amount of months until I ran out of money, and then
back again.
Yeah.
And what line of work do you do, Trevor?
So between trips, I just sold outdoor gear and apparel, stuff to keep you comfortable outside.
Yes.
I did 2 years of my bachelor's of business administration. I'm an accounting and finance major.
Oh, good man. Yeah. But you've yet to work in accounting finance, have you?
That's correct. Yeah. I was in the middle of it, and I didn't want to finish the program yet and get a real job and inevitably real responsibilities. Yeah. Yes. I wanted to see the world.
You're dead right. You only live once.
Exactly. And yeah, I wouldn't trade these experiences for anything. I'm quite happy with the decision I make to not immediately start my career and spend 4 years traveling on and off.
And you'll spend a few more, I'd say, will you?
Probably.
Good.
Probably.
And as you go about, you make contacts and associates as well. Sure.
Yeah, you build up a network of people from all over the world. It is interesting because all my family's pretty much in Canada. I didn't really know anyone anywhere in the world except for in Canada, but now through hitchhiking I have a network of people I know from, well, a lot of different places, which is cool.
It's nice. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. And people that would be genuinely interested in life.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
They walk at a good pace.
You're not dallying. You're not dallying.
Much is mighty.
Oh.
Yeah. Good luck.
Good for the lungs.
Yeah.
We'll go into the village and back down.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Are there many abandoned buildings out here? That one didn't look occupied.
A lot of abandoned homesteads.
Yeah.
And then we have a housing crisis in urban areas where there aren't enough houses.
Yeah.
Well, there aren't enough. There may well be enough houses, but they're not available or of suitable standard.
Mm-hmm. So, was this the closest little town to where you were growing up and you had the...
It is the closest town to where my village, to where my mother and her mother and father would have grown up.
Okay.
And that's the village inn. Church. School. Of Victoria.
So I'm originally from Comox, which is a town and I think has
and it's on
12 to 15,000 people.
Oh, it's a big town.
Yeah. There's several towns dotted all over the island.
Yeah.
It's kind of right in the middle on the east coast of the island, so it's a long, kind of skinny island, and it's kind of halfway point.
And it has a temperate climate.
Very temperate and very rainy. It gets enough rain to be considered a temperate rainforest, but it's definitely not tropical.
I'm going to drive along this road now just to see the condition of it, because as a councillor, one needs to know what the roads are like. I wouldn't normally go down here unless I had an absolute need to. And that would be to visit constituents.
Campaign quite a bit. Is it close?
You have to go and visit people, call door to door and ask them for
their vote,
which is a very personal thing to people.
Yeah.
I'm sure something similar happens when you have elections.
I'm not very familiar. Once I graduated high school, when you're a youth, you don't really follow the politics of it. I left, and I've been a variety of places since.
The road now here is potholed. Now, nobody from the locality had been on to me to have the potholes mended, but when I go back now, I'll ask the roads engineer to make sure they're done. And that can be credited to Trevor, who came from Canada to take me out and about. So, the one there, how long it will take before the council come out and do the work?
Is it usually?
I'll keep on top of it now that I'm aware of it.
Yeah. Because usually things are pretty efficient here.
Another one there. Yes, they're pretty okay. We have, in Maine, our roads people in this municipal area, this is the Newcastle municipal area, are efficient, and they're quite prompt in dealing with difficulties.
Okay.
This end of the road is better here because it was those are 3 local authority houses built to keep people in the rural community. In other words, not have them migrate into the town.
For what reason?
They provide services. One of the ladies does an excellent home care service.
Yeah.
Another lady there ran a shop locally.
Mm-hmm.
And the other guy, he works locally.
Okay.
This was the part of the road now that had the reconstruction work done on it. And the narrow bridge. Does it remind you of the roads up North Scotland, up in Wick, or
Narrow roads, narrow country roads. It's definitely a resemblance.
from John O'Groats to Kyle of Lochalish I found it very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The next time you come to Scotland, you should do Kyle of Lochalish and the Isle of Skye.
Ah, yes. I've heard lots of good things about Isle of Skye. Hitchhiking in Scotland was not a problem at all. It was the lifts came quick, the people are friendly, and that's pretty similar to what it's like everywhere.
And have you met a lot of other hitchers, fellow hitchers, while you're out?
Not too many. Not too many.
I think there are very few out now.
Yeah. But I have met a couple. And there's different types of hitchhikers as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that hitchhike for leisure, they build a trip specifically around planning on hitchhiking around. And that's quite a different crowd between the two.
And where did you meet most?
I've met several in Canada, a few in the United States. They've been spread out. Pretty much everywhere I've gone, I've seen other hitchhikers. Even in Japan, I saw another One other hitchhiker.
And what about here?
I haven't seen any on this trip, actually. In the middle of winter. But on a day like today, it doesn't feel like the middle of winter.
It's like spring.
Yeah.
The poet wrote about that, the guy whose statue is in the town.
Yeah.
That cottage is being reinstated, and that was, he wrote, what was her name? Bridgie Halpin was his grandmother, and he wrote extensively about her. Quite interesting poems. But that was the house she lived in, and I knew the lady. She died in the 60s, I'd say. Bridgie Halpin, she was Bridgie Roach from back near Abbeyfield originally, to extend it. So
okay.
they started work on it.
Yeah.
And it will be Poets' Corner when it's up and running, I think.
Poets' Corner?
Poets' Corner.
Yeah.
Possible name of the house.
They're from down here?
Down this area here.
Are most houses all stone construction, or they do timber frame?
There are quite a few timber frame, and it was from Canada. The house in Dingle.
Yeah.
That's a timber framed house.
Okay. Yeah.
And the infrastructure to put it together came in from Canada.
Really?
Isn't that an interesting one?
That's an interesting connection.
Tell people now when you go back that you stayed in a Canadian sourced timber house in Dingle Town.
That is interesting.
My house in Newcastle West, that is timber framed as well, but I don't know where the timbers for that came from.
Yeah.
The timbers in the house in Dingle are Canadian cedars.
That is interesting.
Can't recall correctly. I think it was 2001 I purchased it.
Okay.
Maybe at that time. It's definitely
Years, okay.
Yeah. So it needs, I've never really done anything in terms of redecoration or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I'll look at the pothole there. So I do need to. Poultry sheds there.
Okay.
Quite a few of the farms here have them. Oh yes, we'll go over to Knockfairna now.
With the like abandoned houses and stuff like that, do you have problems with people squatting and just taking up residence? And
that doesn't tend to happen much.
No.
They've squatted in some of the unfinished apartment blocks.
Yep.
That you see, we had a crash here. Have you probably heard about it? In the economy about 2008-9, that period, about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Where we were building far more houses. We made an industry of building residential units were built with a need for 30,000 a year. But in 2006, 90,000 were built.
Oh, good.
So there was oversupply for a period, some of which are being finished today. If you had travel from when you left